Okay, all right. So, yes, for Thursday, we spent a lot of time watching Dr. Marr work and got some good pointers from that. Now, all day Friday, while these guys were working hard, from what time did you start? 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, on Friday. You started 8 o'clock in the morning. When did you stop rehearsing?
Like 5.
5 o'clock at night? Okay. All right, so while these guys were rehearsing, I was going to these sessions. The first one I went to was by this man here. His name is Jeff Wilson, and he taught me how to teach beginning band the right way. Now, a lot of what this session was all about was taking different ideas as far as how to start a beginning band, and it was a really nice opportunity for many of us in the session to be able to share ideas with each other. One of the interesting things that actually Mr. Wilson brought up was that for a very large starting class, he actually brought up the idea of starting students on only 2 instruments. And I thought that was really interesting because you need to teach quickly. You can't teach 70 students, beginning students, 5 different instruments. You need to bring that down to 2. And I thought that was very interesting. And then in their second year, that's when they spread out to the other instruments, whatever they may be. So that was a great session for me. The next session was led by this man. Not a great picture of him, but that's Mr. Bolton, and he is one of the band directing gods of Oregon, for sure. And what he did was he taught everyone how to cheat, but keep your musical integrity. And mainly it was really focused towards like going to festivals and stuff like that. And he gave some great tips on musicality. For example, using the percussion section to hide other sections that maybe aren't doing too well, but being able to use the different sections and take advantages of our strengths while hiding our weaknesses. Okay, I had lunch on Friday. I had waffles. How many people have been to Eugene? No? Okay, so in Eugene, they have this new waffle place, and it is so good. I had a waffle with caramelized onions and bacon on it. Oh, so good. Hey, it was great. Anyway, I had lunch with the two of the high school directors from our district, and so we were able to talk about a lot of the things that are going on musically in our district. After that, I went to a session with these 3 really wonderful people. I've actually been in Mr. Zimmelman's band when he was the director of athletic bands at the University of Oregon. I marched under him. And Dave Mathis was the high school teacher in Lake Oswego. He has taken bands to state many, many times. And Dan Foster is a man who is a judge for bands, and he goes to contests. So all 3 of these men gave us some great tips for sight reading. Now, those of you who are in my class already know that there's a sight reading sheet that I handed out. It's based on this lecture by these 3 people. So I took that information, and what I was able to do, I was able to look back at my sheet and say, you know what, maybe these 3 things aren't working so well, I'm going to tweak that a little bit. So that was a great session for me. After going to sessions all morning, I was ready to see some actual music being performed, and so I got to see these 2 ensembles. Both of them absolutely incredible, especially the organ wind quintet. This bassoon player just had fingers. Now the bassoon has keys that are way spread out, and you have to use your thumbs, which are awkward to use, and man, he was just flying through stuff. It was a really awesome concert. I went to 2 meetings after the concert. One was for the Band Directors Association. We mainly talked about boring stuff that I'm not going to get into now, but following that, I went to an advocacy meeting in which there were several teachers from across the state of Oregon who really wanted to gather some data on what sort of music we're playing in our classes. How many students do we have? What instruments do they play? And so I volunteered to gather data for Central Oregon, so for our district and Redmond north of here and a few other districts. Now finally, we got to see these 2 goofballs. Okay, I finished that up by going to the rehearsal of the All-State middle. It was the dress rehearsal for these guys. So I was able to sneak on stage and obviously get a couple pictures of these guys. but what was really great was being able to watch Dr. Marr work, because he really was so focused, and it really helped every single person in the audience, or not in the audience, but in the ensemble, really bring their best. Wouldn't you say, guys? Actually, I'm sure all of the All-State musicians, I'm getting goosebumps on the back of my neck thinking about how cool it is to work with these really wonderful people. So that was the grand finale of the night. I got to see some great performances from all of you. I'm going to go real quick through Saturday. This awesome guy was the orchestra director. You guys recognize him from this terrible picture of him? Anyway, the orchestra director, the greatest thing from his session is what he does with his orchestra is he does sort of similar to what Miss Meyer does with the orchestra karate, where he has, instead he uses helmet stickers. So you guys know in football, you do a certain number of things, you get a sticker on your helmet, right? Okay. So what he does with his orchestra is he has helmet stickers for his band. So anytime you pass a scale test, you get a helmet sticker, you put it on your instrument case. I thought that was awesome. Definitely going to be looking into that for here, getting little Pilot Butte helmet stickers to put on our instrument cases. I saw some awesome community bands, which is a great way to see how music... Now, community bands are mainly people who are either retired or are professionals outside of music who still want to be engaged in music in their community after they graduate from high school or college. So those were two really great groups that were able to give us good examples of what it looks like to be involved with music outside of school and continuing a lifelong of music. This guy, I love this guy. Chris Chapman, and his band had the best performance I had seen since 2009. I'm getting goosebumps again. Like, the whole weekend was just so fantastic for me. Oh my gosh! Okay, so he gave a session on conducting, and I got some great things on musical intent and how to physically show that. So, you guys might not have noticed, but I was actually conducting a lot less in our classes yesterday than I had been. I'm giving you only the most important information and trying not to just go like this and make it so that you want to ignore me. That was one of the great things that I learned from this session. Dr. Wiltshire, this one was very applicable for me, this being my first year at Pilot Butte, and you guys having a lot of experience here. His was titled, "That's Not How We Used to Do It." And I'm sure you can guess what it was all about.
I've never done it.
You guys have a lot of traditions here that I wasn't aware of. And so he talked about how to help make that transition a little bit easier, which was good for me, and it's better for me to see it now than never, but I wish that I had talked to Dr. Wiltshire at the beginning of the year when I took the job so I could, help make this an easier transition for both myself and for you, the students, as well. So that was very useful. We also exchanged emails so that we could continue to work through this process of transition. More performances. This is the one, Oregon State University. There's Dr. Chapman, his little face right there. Dr. Chapman, beautiful, beautiful piece, and I'll show you guys a recording of it. This conductor, I played in his band. He has a community band. And he went over some Australian composers, and I got some great links for literature there. And then finally on Saturday night, the whole thing culminates with a performance from usually a professional group. This year it was Presidio Brass. They were awesome performances. Not only were they like great musicians, and actually I hung their poster up back there. They signed it for us, and it's hidden behind that door right there, but they signed that poster. And not only were they great musicians, they were great performers, and they really hammed it up on stage, and it was just a blast to be able to be a part of that. Okay, so after that, I also did 4 sessions on Sunday as well, but I know you guys are eyeing the cookies over there, so I think we're going to do that now. This is how it's going to work. Students, I'd like you to, when I say go, you're going to go ahead and come over. You're going to help yourself to a little bit of sparkling drink. And what you're going to do is you're not going to drink it yet because we need to do a couple toasts, okay? So.